Morning. What's shaking, bacon? How's everyone doing? Hey. How's it going? Did we run this last night? Oh no, it's not even close to full. Okay, so that's not, I forgot I ran it yesterday afternoon. I forget. Let's make some coffee. Good morning, coffee. Good morning, what's up? Just making coffee, you know, average day. Same as we do every morning. Putting my collagen in my coffee. I'm gonna have to get more of this soon. Maybe we'll go to Costco soon. Morning, Amanda. Morning, Mina. Morning, Jen. What's up, everybody? Hello, hello. Hello. I finished another book this morning. Megan Quinn's Bridemaids for Hire, or Bridemaid for Hire. Nickelodeon Awards next month. I think you should be invited. Oh, that would be amazing. I don't think they'll do it, but that would be fun. I don't think they're going to invite me, but that would be very cool. How about you make me coffee now? What do you think, machine? You think you want to make the coffee? What's your problem? There we go. That would be real cool. It would be a lot of fun to go to the Nickelodeon Awards. I bet they're here in LA, probably, right? Hey, Becca. Hey, Anya. Oh, my goodness. Excuse my yawning. Sorry. How did you like that book? You know what, Avery? I loved the beginning. Like, the first third was so amazing, and it felt really snappy, and like it was doing everything I wanted a book to do. And then the middle third, I was like I could not get through it. It just dragged in the middle. And it was a lot longer than other books in the genre, but like a good 50 pages. And I think they could have cut those 50 pages. And then the end was good. So they can slime me. That's okay. I'll let them slime me. Yeah, we'll be reading as soon as I finish making coffee. Yeah. As soon as I make my coffee, we will get to I think we're on chapter 16 or 17 today. Really busy night. I finished all the Patreon grab bags for the month, which is great. We're very, very on track for this month. Today or tomorrow, Patreon pre-orders are going to go up for people to choose what they want for the month. And then we'll start making restock stuff. Well, I've already started making like the first batches of some. Yes. What do you have? What kind are you having on you? That Hawaiian stuff that you got? Anyway. Oh my goodness. Yeah, very productive night. But still more to do always, you know. Yeah, the Kona coffee. Okay, I thought so. No, I hate when yeah, it was so slow. You guys know me. Like, I read really fast. Oh, by the way, that was my 50th book of the year. The Bridesmaid for Hire book was my 50th book. And my goal for the year, I tentatively set it at 50, but I've finished that now, so now I have to reset my goal, which is like fine, whatever. But I read really fast, and that book took me a long time to get through, and I kept going to other books in the middle because I was just bored. So I was like, well, let me read something else. You know, it was just weird. In the middle of it, I read a book on the history of mermaids, and some other stuff too. The History of Mermaids book was okay. Seeing as I studied that in school, I was expecting a little more from that. It wasn't super well researched, but it was okay. Just okay. I would rather start the book be so. Me too. How do you read this much? You know, I just prioritize reading into my time. So for example, like, let's take last night, for example. I packed orders and worked until about midnight last night, roughly. And then I got into bed after getting ready for bed, and I read for about a half an hour. And then I woke up this morning, and I usually wake up around 6:30 or 7, and I usually read before I come out here to make coffee and hang with you guys. So I read a little bit this morning, and then I usually listen to audiobooks all day. I can't wait to start my new job. I had to tell a broken heart. Oh, Jack, I'm so sorry. Wait, what's your new job and when do you start? Audiobooks are great when adulting. Yes, I have to have an audiobook while I'm working. We've started this new thing that's so amazing where Secret Fiance lets me use his phone while I have to record videos with my phone. So I can listen to an audiobook on his phone while I'm recording. Oh my gosh, it's the greatest gift. My sister was like, we're leaving at 9. I was like, I don't know if book club will be over at 9. That's really funny. Maybe not. But yeah, like I need an audiobook to get me through. I stayed up late last night reading. What were you reading, Avery? I can't in good conscience say I recommend Bridesmaid for Hire, but I don't like not recommend it also. It's kind of weird. Because like I liked parts of it and then I didn't like other parts. I don't know. Oh, last night I also finished the audiobook of Brandy June's second book. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was good. Excuse that sound. Monday I'll be more coverage for. Oh, that's good. Heir of the Throne and Glasses. I haven't started that series yet. Hey, Grace. It appears that Grace took her yearly review to heart. She's been here every day this week. Look at that. I stayed up last night not reading, and then I was up in the middle of the night not reading. I understand that, Roxy. I think that happens to a lot of people. I think you just have to maybe change where you read. Oh no, Amanda. Oh no. That's not good. I gotta be a good employee still working on that time machine. That's right. That's right. Well, Becca, you do wake up and listen to me read, you know. I love when I can help children, but more turning people away due to unavailability. Oh, yeah, it's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Yes, I know. It's not great. It's not a good feeling. Boop. All right. Is anyone else scared about what is potentially coming in the next chapters of this book? I mean, like... Well, you can pretend, Becca. You can pretend, you know? I'm scared about what's in the next chapters of this book, and I'm also scared of what's in book 2. I'm worried. Not gonna lie, yeah. It's, he's her lobster. Yeah. Deborah called because she was sent home from work. Why was she sent home from work? I don't want to cry at work for sure. Jen, I understand that. I understand that big time. Yeah. Oh, while I have you guys here, I wanted to let you know, don't miss it. If you're getting a Pride roll for slime, the first day is either I think it's gonna be Monday, is gonna be the first Pride roll for slime. And I'm planning on putting the signups up today for that. So look out for that. Because I think Shira's gonna bring me the flag charms on Monday. We're getting regular flags and also flags shaped like hearts. If you go on the main Patreon, Roxy, and click on the little search, it's like a little magnifying glass is the search icon, and just type in Discord, the link will come up. Anyone who's on Patreon can just auto join that way. Shira set that up for us, which was really nice. But yeah, she's bringing me Pride Charms on Monday afternoon, so Monday night we'll be able to do that. And I have a lot of the other supplies already in, which is great. So we are rocking and rolling for our first Roll for Pride. Roll for Pride. The one thing that I have to tell you guys is that if you sign up, maybe you did, Grace, because I didn't see anything else. If you sign up for Roll for Pride, the one thing that you're gonna have to know is that you can't re-roll for, oh, interesting. Now you say, if that happens again, let me know and we can talk to Shira. So I was crying because Miles said, Ellie, you can't play with her 3.0. Sad. Can I do a... Sure, absolutely, Grace. Yeah, Grace, when's your birthday? Yes, you can. The one thing, so what I was going to say is the one thing is if you choose a challenge, you can choose your flag, but if you do a regular roll for slime, I can't guarantee that you're only going to get... Oh, then wait, Grace, because we're going to have one more Pride roll for slime closer to the end, so just hang on to that. So like, for example, there are going to be things that are for all the different ones, and by doing the roll for Pride, you're not guaranteed to like your specific one unless you choose challenge. If you say, I want a challenge and I want it to be pan, then of course I'll do a pan, you know what I mean, like, because it's a challenge. But if it's roll for slime, we have to just go with the add-ins that you get, you know. So you might get some rainbows, you might get some bi-pearls, you might get some you know, blah blah blah. Exactly. It's more for the fun of it, and I'm kind of using some of the money from the Pride roll for slimes, extra ones that people get to do what I'm gonna be called... Can I do a birthday roll for slime that isn't Pride? Yes, that's a separate day. So there's gonna be days that are only Pride, and then there's days that are not Pride. So just sign up on one of the non-Pride days. Like for example, next Tuesday is a non-Pride roll for slime. So they're separate days, just so that I only have to have 1 or 2 sheets going at a time, because switching back and forth between all the different pages is so much for my brain. It's not because I don't think we should have Pride and non-Pride in the same day, it's just because it's so many pieces of paper, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I can't do it. But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is a lot of my friends and some of the people in our community want to sponsor other people who can't afford the Pride slimes getting their own Pride slime. So we're gonna do what I'm gonna call like sponsor a baby gay, kind of, and we're gonna take some of the money from Pride roll for slime to sponsor like young adults and kids who either aren't out or were kicked out by their families, or just like don't have as supportive of families that maybe can't afford to have something to celebrate their flag, and we'll give them some fun things to play with, you know, because like, yeah, like necessities are necessities, but like fun is also a necessity, so people should have something fun. So we're gonna figure out how to do that. I have a lot of friends in New York who, or people who are on tour who like can't take slime on tour with them, like Kurt, you all know Kurt, and Kurt was like, well, I can't take a bunch of slime with me in my suitcase all the time, but I would like to sponsor some other people getting a Pride slime. And I was like, that's super cool. That's super cool. So that's what's going on. In case anyone, yes, fun is a necessity, especially when you're young and you're dealing with a lot of stress. Well, at any age and dealing with a lot of stress. But you know what I mean, like a baby gay who maybe can't come out to their parents and whatever. Their parents probably wouldn't recognize that the slime is a Pride slime. Well, fun, and we can supply it, so necessity we can help with. Exactly. Yes. All right, so anyway, now that we've talked about that, let's go ahead and read chapter 17, The In-Between. I'm scared. I was born scared of this book. It is. It's a great discreet Pride option, because like sending someone a rainbow slime with like extra rainbow bits in it and their parents see it, they could just be like, oh, it's Rainbow Slime Girl, like whatever, she makes everything rainbow, and their parents wouldn't know. You know what I mean? But it might be their one thing that they like hold tight for themselves. You know what I mean? Or if something is the ace flag and it's true. That's true, Becca. Hey, I just found it. Oh gosh. I'm super nervous, but anyway, that is what we're doing. It's going to be a great, so I'm going to make a post about it just so you guys know, and you all can share it with anyone who has resources that can reach anyone who needs a discreet thing, you know? Yeah. Okay, cool. So back to the Land of Stories, which by the way is also, I mean, in case, if anyone is doing, have you guys seen those reading challenges or whatever? If you're looking to check off reading something by a queer author off of your list, we almost always are reading something by a queer author, because as you know, Chris Coffer falls into that category. And I think, if I had to guess, the language in this book is queer coded. He's obviously writing a young adult middle grade work, so he's not outright saying it, but I think we all know what he's saying, right? You know what I mean? I think we know. So this is a great book for us to be reading for Pride. It's a great series for us to be doing for that. Just a little bit. He's not super subtle, I will say that. I love Chris, but he's not, he's hitting my head with a hammer. Yes, it's not thinly veiled. Yes. All right. So, you know what, Jen? I'm happy to lay it out for you if you want to DM me. Anyway, let's read. Shortly before cooking dinner, Mrs. V entered the dining room to set the table and was surprised to find the students and apprentices gathered there. The children had already set the table with bowls, silverware, and a steaming pot of stew that had already been prepared. "Surprise!" the children told the housekeeper. "Oh, what is all this?" Mrs. V asked. "It can't be my birthday because I stopped having those after I turned 50. Well, we wanted to do something special for you, Mrs. V, Bristol said. "You work so hard cooking and cleaning for us every day, so as a token of our appreciation, we thought it might be nice to make you dinner for once." Mrs. V placed a hand over her heart. "Well, that is just so thoughtful of you," the housekeeper said. "You know, I don't care what my generation says about young people. You are not a bunch of lazy, selfish, entitled attention seekers. Some of you are just downright pleasant." Xanthos pulled out a chair for Mrs. V, and Emeralda tucked a napkin into her shirt. Skyline filled her glass with water, and Tangerina handed her a spoon. Lucy opened the lid of the pot, letting a scrumptious aroma fill the air, and Bristol poured a generous serving of stew into the housekeeper's bowl. "Well, that just smells heavenly," Mrs. V said. "What did you make?" "My mother's creamy mushroom and potato stew," Bristol said. "It's an old evergreen family recipe, and I hope you like it." The housekeeper excitedly moved her spoon like it was a swimming fish, and eagerly took her first bite. "Well, this is just absolutely delicious," Mrs. V said. A little bit salty, but delicious nonetheless. I thank you so much for treating me to a special meal, and I can't tell you how wonderful it feels to be loved and appreciated by you, but I don't want to get too mushy. Sometimes I think of you all as my own children." Boy, that is salty. "I'll be so bloated I won't fit in my shoes tomorrow." But all jokes aside, this is the honestly nicest thing anyone has ever... Bam! Mrs. V's head fell into her bowl and splashed the whole room with stew. I saw that coming, not gonna lie. I saw this one happening. "Well, that was quick," Lucy said. "I thought it would take a little bit longer than that." Tangerina carefully raised the housekeeper's head out of the bowl and gently set it down on the table. She held a clean spoon under Mrs. V's nostrils to make sure she was still breathing, but the housekeeper didn't exhale. "Skyline, how much simple slumber sleeping salt did you put in that stew?" she asked. "I just followed the instructions on the back," Skyline said, and removed the simple slumber sleeping salt from her pocket. "The directions say an inch of salt will put someone to sleep for a week." Tangerina snatched the bottle from her friend and took a look for herself. As she inspected it, something didn't seem right, so she wiped the bottle with a napkin. "Skyline," Tangerina exclaimed, "the instructions say a pinch of salt will put someone to sleep for a week, not an inch." Skyline went pale and her eyes grew wide. "Oops," she said. "Oh my God, we just killed Mrs. V," Xanthos cried. "Everyone calm down," Bristol said. "We found the simple slumber sleeping salt in Madame Weatherbury's potion cabinet. If it was lethal, I doubt she would keep it in her office." To everyone's extreme relief, the unconscious housekeeper let out a loud snore and started breathing normally. "Yeah, the old girl will be out for a while, but I think she's gonna be fine," Lucy said and patted Mrs. V on the back. "Did we do the right thing?" Emeralda said. "It feels like weird putting her to sleep like this." "Well, we talked about this," Bristol said. "If Mrs. V woke up tomorrow morning and discovered we were all missing, it would give her a literal heart attack. If she found out that we were traveling to the Northern Kingdom, she would have come after us. Letting her rest while we're gone is better than letting her worry. Now, let's put her in her room and leave before the Snow Queen gets any stronger." It took all 6 children to lift Mrs. V's unconscious body from the chair and transport her out of the dining room. She was much heavier than they expected, and it required all their strength. They carried her out of the kitchen and into her bedroom as carefully as possible and did their best to avoid bumping her head and limbs in the doorway. By the time they plopped her down on her bed and tucked her in, the students were all sweaty and out of breath. "I don't know, Jack." It's a square inch. She gave her a square inch of salt. "Wait a second," Lucy said. Why didn't we just use magic to transport her? The classmates groaned at their own collective stupidity. Oh man, Xanthos said, I keep forgetting that that's even an option. Before they ventured to the Northern Kingdom, each of the students and apprentices manifested a unique coat to keep themselves warm for the journey. Bristol waved her wand and a sparkly blue coat with fuzzy white cuffs appeared over her pantsuit. Emeralda created a beaded emerald wrap that matched her beaded emerald robe. Tangerina gave herself a thick jacket made from quilted patches of honeycomb. Skyline covered her body in a layer of warm water that wrapped around her like a transparent jumpsuit. And finally, Lucy snapped her fingers and manifested a coat from dark turkey feathers. Yes, salt cubes, exactly. It's a salt lick, like for a horse. It's not exactly the pheasant I was hoping for, but it'll do, Lucy said. Xanthos, don't you need a coat? Skyline asked. I should be fine, he said. I'm really never cold. Then we're almost ready, Bristol said. I just need to collect a couple of things before we go. Bristol packed a sack with food, water, and other supplies and then shrank it to the size of a coin purse so that it would be easy to carry during their trip. She borrowed one of Mrs. V's sharp knives from the kitchen and took it to Madame Weatherbury's office. She stood on a glass chair and cut out the Northern Kingdom from the enlarged map of magic on the wall. Vandalism! Bristol! I would be so upset. Yeah, literally. I don't know what they were thinking, Jack. Kids, am I right? It is. It's Hermione's bag. It's also like the coach. Like Madame Weatherbury knows how to do that too. Bristol was glad to see Madame Weatherbury's star was still shining on the map and hoped they would save her before it disappeared. She rolled up the extracted piece of map and tucked it in her coat. Before heading downstairs, Bristol made a quick stop in her bedroom, retrieved a large geography book from the shelves containing a detailed map of the in-between and the Northern Kingdom. Bristol waved her wand and shrunk the book to the dimension of a matchbox so that she could carry it in her pocket. Once the map and geography book were collected, Bristol met her classmates downstairs by the door. Well, that's it, she said. What we're about to embark on may get dangerous. It might get scary, and we may get hurt in the process. Yeah, we call that a Saturday in show business, Lucy said. I'm being serious, Bristol said. Once we walk out that door and leave the academy, there's no turning back. We all know what we're getting ourselves into, right? Bristol looked closely to each one of her classmates' eyes to make sure they understood the stakes. Instead of finding any hesitation, she saw the students and apprentices nodding at her with confidence, knowing exactly what they had signed up for. I'm willing to throw a few punches for Madame Weatherbury, Emeralda said. Yeah, so am I, Xanthos said. Me too, Tangerina said. Me three, Skyline said. That sounds exactly like the thrill I've been looking for, Lucy said. Bristol was energized by her classmates' enthusiasm, but she still let out an anxious sigh before opening the front door. Well, all right then, she said. Here goes nothing. The children left the castle and hurried through the property to the hedged barrier. As the barrier opened for them, Bristol and her classmates took a deep breath and squeezed one another's hands for courage. As they walked through the barrier's leafy tunnel and took their first steps into the in-between, their journey began. You know what I have to say about this that is super interesting? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this is really important. To anyone who read Harry Potter, and we all know, okay, like, let's put all of our feelings about J.K. Rowling aside because, like, we've belabored that to death. But if anyone read Harry Potter, so many of us really wanted a prequel so badly. So it's like he's giving us exactly what we didn't even know we wanted, but giving us like the origin story of the Fairy Council. You know what I mean? It's very nice. We didn't even have to ask for it. He was just like, here, it's fine. And we're like, yeah. We do want it. Yeah, because like everyone wanted the Marauders to be made into a prequel and that never happened, right? We only got like flashbacks to the Marauders. We never got like the Marauder story, which would have been cool. So anyway. It was only dusk when Bristol and her friends departed the academy, but it was as dark as midnight in the thick forest. Regardless of their new self-defense skills, the students and apprentices were intimidated by the creepy woods. Every screeching raven and hooting owl seemed like a warning to turn around, but the classmates persisted and traveled down the winding path. Bristol waved her wand and illuminated the forest with twinkling lights that followed them through the in-between like a swarm of fireflies. The classmates made it through their first mile without any trouble, but that quickly changed when they reached the end of their second mile. Good morning! Suddenly, an enormous horned creature stepped out from the crooked trees and blocked the path. As it approached their twinkling lights, Bristol and Lucy were relieved to see that it was Horns and his three-headed horse.
but their friends screamed at the knight and prepared themselves to fight him. Yeah, don't be afraid, Lucy told him. This guy's a friend. Of course he's friends with Lucy. It's a demonic knight, Tangerina exclaimed. Color me not surprised, Skylene said. No, I mean like he's not going to hurt us, Lucy said. He's the one who saved me in Bristol from the witch hunters. The classmates relaxed a little bit after hearing this, but only slightly. Bristol stepped forward to greet the strange entity. Hello, Horace, she said. What are you doing here? Instead of a verbal response, the knight pointed to the path behind the students. For reasons she couldn't explain, Bristol didn't need words to understand what Horace was trying to communicate. No, I know the words are dangerous, but we can't go back, Bristol said. Madame Weatherbury's in trouble and she needs our help. She's battling a horrible witch known as the Snow Queen. If we don't make it to the Northern Kingdom and save her, she might die. How does she know what he's saying? Bristol whispered to Lucy. They've got a weird thing, Lucy whispered back. Just go with it. After a few moments of silence, Horace bowed to Bristol and gestured to the path ahead of them. Once again, the knight didn't utter a single word, but Bristol knew exactly what he was saying. Thank you, Bristol said. That would be wonderful. Bristol, Lucy asked, what is happening here? Horace is going to escort us through the forest, Bristol said. He wants to protect us from the creatures in the in-between. The knight steered his three-headed horse down the path, and the children followed him. Bristol walked beside Horace as they traveled, but the rest of the group kept their distance. She couldn't blame her friends for being timid. She was scared the first time she saw Horace, too. But the farther they traveled, the more trusting of him they became. So, what is Horace? Emerald asked. Is he a man, a soldier, a deer? I suppose he's more of a spirit than anything else, Bristol explained. Madame Weatherbury told me that Horace was in love with a witch who used a bunch of her own land around here, including the Academy's property. After Horace was murdered, the witch used witchcraft to bring him back to life. The spell was so dark and vile that the witch died in the process, and Horace returned to the earth as an unnatural version of himself. Madame Weatherbury said he now roams the witch's former lands and acts as a guardian angel for the people in danger. If that's Bristol's version of a guardian angel, I never want to see her version of a demon, Tangerina whispered to Skylene. Hey, Horace, Lucy whispered to him. Can we call you Horns for short? The knight slowly shook his head, and everyone understood the message this time. Bristol and her friends followed Horace through the night and into the following morning. They could have sworn that they saw wolves and bears watching them through the trees, but the animals didn't dare approach the children while they were with the knight. Eventually, the path came to a stream, and the students and apprentices crossed a small stone bridge. Bristol and her classmates made it across the bridge without any trouble, but when they turned back, Horace stayed on the other side. What are you doing, Horace? Bristol asked. Aren't you coming with us? The knight slowly shook his head and pointed to a tree on his side of the stream. Bristol looked closer and saw a heart with two sets of initials carved into the tree trunk. HM plus SW. SW. Not Snow White, surely. SW. Okay. Well, this is what it looks like for anyone who's wondering. At first, Bristol had no idea why Horace was showing her the carving or who HM and SW were. However, it didn't take long for her to remember the knight's life story, and she quickly realized why he'd stopped at the stream. Those are yours and the witch's initials, aren't they? Bristol said. You must have carved them into the tree when you were both alive, and you can't travel beyond it because those mark the end of her former property. You do, Naisa? Who is it? Horace slowly nodded, and the knight then performed a series of gestures that Bristol found confusing. First, he pointed in the direction she and the others were traveling, and then with the same hand, he showed Bristol two of his fingers, and then he reduced them to one, and he repeated the same motion several times. Pointing, 2 fingers, 1 finger. Pointing, 2 fingers, 1 finger. Pointing, 2 fingers, 1 finger. But no matter how many times he performed the gesture, Bristol couldn't figure out what Horace was trying to say. The distance, 2 fingers, 1 finger? She asked as he reenacted the movement. The distance, 2 fingers, 1 finger. For whatever reason, the connection between them had broken and they couldn't communicate as easily as before. Bristol wondered if it was because she was standing on the other side of the stream. Before she could cross the bridge to get a clearer answer, Horace pulled his horse's reins and disappeared into the trees. What was he telling you? Lucy asked. Actually, I have no idea, Bristol said, but I think it was a warning. As the morning became afternoon, Bristol and her friends' bodies were aching from exhaustion, and their feet were swollen and pounding in their shoes. W is not white, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and send this person away so that we don't have to deal with them anymore. Bye. You don't, what? Someone is just like picking on people in here because they want me to make slime rather than reading, and people were gently telling them it's book club, not slime time, and they got mean to the people in book club, and so I kicked them out. We don't suffer that. Oh, Weatherberry. Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Wait, what?
I was talking to them. What's the matter, honey?
I don't know.
Sometimes trolls come in and they're like, make slime or else, and I'm like, goodbye, and then we kick them out.
Or else.
Yeah, they're dumb. It's crazy. They're crazy people, babe. Don't worry about it. It's like children who have nothing better to do with their life. Yeah, but maybe she has a sister. Her name is Celeste. Yeah, with a C. But maybe, you're right, maybe she had a sister. We don't know. We don't know. Oh, Snowy Weatherberry. Interesting, interesting. As the morning became afternoon, Bristol and her friends' bodies were aching from exhaustion and their feet were swollen and pounding in their shoes. They'd been traveling for almost an entire day and rarely stopped to take a break. Without Horace's protection, Bristol was afraid that if they lingered anywhere for too long, their scents and sounds would be noticed by a predator. And so she made her classmates push through their fatigue and forced the procession forward. How much longer until we get to the Northern Kingdom? Xanthos asked. Well, according to my geography book, we're about a quarter of the way there. Maybe, Jen, maybe. Only a quarter? Skylene said in shock. I thought we were nearly there. The air's been getting so much colder. Yeah, it's about to get a lot colder than this, Bristol said. Trust me, you'll know when we've arrived. The Northern Kingdom is covered in the Snow Queen's blizzards. Yeah, what part of the Northern Kingdom are we headed to? Lucy asked. Bristol removed the map of magic from her coat and unrolled it for her classmates. Well, the map shows that Madame Weatherberry is somewhere between Appleton Village and the kingdom's capital of Tinsel Heights, Bristol said. The Snow Queen recently attacked Tinsel Heights, so I imagine Madame Weatherberry is trying to keep her destruction from spreading. If the Snow Queen reaches Appleton Village, the Northern Kingdom is doomed. Their mutual fear fueled their efforts, and the classmates continued on without complaining. A few more miles down the path, Bristol and her friends passed through a pleasant clearing with sunlight, a stone bench to sit on, colorful berries to eat, and a fresh spring to drink from. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen in the in-between since leaving the academy, and the apprentices were tempted to stop. I'm sorry, but I've got to take a break, Tangerina whined. Yeah, me too, Skylene said. Even I feel dehydrated. Bristol had been pushing her classmates so hard that she figured they earned a quick rest. She didn't object when Tangerina and Skylene left the path and headed for the stony bench. Lucy eyed the clearing suspiciously and stopped, waiting for the apprentice. Lucy eyed the clearing suspiciously, thought, and stopped the apprentices before they sat down. Wait, no, don't sit here, Lucy said. Well, why not? Tangerina asked. Because we are not safe here, Lucy said. It's obviously a trap. Lucy, you're just being paranoid, Tangerina said. This is the most decent part of the woods that we have ever seen. Yeah, exactly, Lucy said. It's charming. Too charming. We'll be much safer if we just keep walking and find someplace gloomy and uninviting. Great. We'll meet you there, Tangerina said. But if I don't sit for 5 minutes, my feet are gonna fall. Swoosh! Like a giant mousetrap, as soon as Tangerina and Skylene touched that stone bench, an enormous net fell on top of them. The girls screamed and struggled to free themselves, but the more they squirmed, the more entangled they became. Bristol, Lucy, Xanthos, and Emeralda ran to help their friends, but the net was so thick that they couldn't get it off the girls. The classmates heard the sound of the horn coming from nearby, and suddenly a tribe of strange creatures jumped out from behind the trees, and soon the children found themselves surrounded by over 100 trolls. The trolls were short creatures with dirty orange skin and hairy bodies. They had big eyes, big noses, big feet, big teeth, and tiny horns. The clothing they wore was made from fur of foxes, raccoons, and squirrels, and jewelry made from the bones of their prey. Each troll carried a heavy club, and they swung their weapons through the air to incite fear. I know, right, Jack? Seriously, they need to, like, get a memory on them. A particularly large troll wearing a headdress of exotic feathers stepped forward to observe the children, and Bristol assumed he was the chief of the tribe. Everyone remain calm, Lucy whispered to her frightened classmates. Trolls are incredibly stupid creatures. They've got sight like eyeless skunks and hearing like earless rabbits. If we stay still and silent, they won't even know we're here. Oh yeah, go ahead, smoothie dance. We are going to smoothie dance, one moment. Pardon the interruption. Did you guys see that little square that keeps popping up right there? It's weird. Oh, Jack also wants a smoothie. Do you think you can make an extra?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Come on over, you grab one. She said it's your fault that she wants one, so it's the least you could do.
My fault.
Well, you know.
This.
The students and apprentices followed Lucy's advice and stood as still as possible. Actually, our vision is perfect and our hearing is flawless, the chief growled. Dang it, Lucy muttered. I was thinking of gophers. You won't need to think where you're going, the chief said and then turned to his tribe. What shall we do with our prisoners? Have we captured slaves or snacks? The trolls clanked their clubs in celebration of catching the children and then roared their opinions on whether to eat or enslave them. Gosh, why isn't there a third option? Xanthos cried. What do we do, Bristol? Emeralda asked. I'm thinking, Bristol said. The tribe was so loud that Bristol could barely hear her own thoughts. The trolls eventually voted for slavery and then crept closer to seize the children. Okay, I'm gonna count to 3, Bristol told her classmates. On 3, I'm gonna wave my wand and cause a distraction, and then we're gonna grab the net, and then we're gonna run out of the clearing. Got it? I don't want to be dragged out of here, Skylene said. 1, Bristol started. 2, before she could give this final signal, the ground rumbled beneath their feet. The trolls looked down in fear and started backing out of the clearing. Great job, Bristol, Lucy said. That's one heck of a distraction. That's not me, Bristol said. I haven't even done anything yet. Suddenly, hundreds of green hands with sharp fingernails burst out of the dirt. A colony of goblins crawled from the underground and emerged into the clearing. The goblins were tall and lean creatures with glossy green skin. They had big pointed ears, small jagged teeth, and nostrils without noses. Their clothes were made from the skins of bats, moles, and reptiles. All the goblins carried sharp spears, and they jabbed the weapons in the trolls' direction. An older goblin wearing a sash made from dead centipedes confronted the troll chief face to face. Oh, nasty.
How dare you poach on our territory?
The goblin elder yelled. This is our territory, the troll chief yelled back. Everything above ground belongs to us. Go back into the hole you crawled out of. The chief swung his club at the elder, but the goblin blocked it with his spear. Thank you, darling. Delicious. Mmm. Yummy, yummy, yummy. You have already stolen our food, our water, and our land, the elder shouted. We will not let you take these slaves from us, too. Leave the forest immediately or face the consequences. Trolls don't cower from anything, especially goblin filth, the chief declared. Tension between the leaders escalated, and the classmates were worried that they were about to be caught in the middle of a full-fledged battle between the species. Don't worry, I'll handle this, Lucy whispered to her friends. I know, a centipede belt is truly, truly horrific. Like, truly horrific. Please don't, Tangerina pleaded. To her classmates' terror, Lucy strutted across the clearing and placed herself between the troll chief and the goblin elder. Whoa, 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 she said. Fellas, chill out before we all get hurt. The interruption infuriated both of the leaders. And who do you think you are? The troll chief growled. You don't recognize me? Lucy said. I'm Lucy Goose of the renowned Goose Troupe. I'm sure you've been to one of our shows. Me and my family have been performing for the trolls and the goblins all over the in-between. We're kind of a big deal around here. The elder goblin squinted at her and rubbed his chin. Oh, yes, he said. I remember you. You're that fat little girl who hit the obnoxious box of chimes until I had a splitting headache. It's called a tambourine, Lucy corrected him. Look, I understand that things are tough between you guys, and you don't want to make things worse by embarrassing yourselves in front of a celebrity like me. I normally don't do this, but if you let me and my friends leave the clearing in peace, I promise to come back and give you a free performance. Come on, what do you say? There isn't a conflict in the world that can't be solved by some good old-fashioned entertainment. The students and apprentices cringed at Lucy's attempt to negotiate. The goblin elder turned back to the troll chief and made an offer of his own. Tell you what, the goblin said, you can have the tambourine player. We'll take the others.
No, the chief yelled. You can have the tambourine player and we'll take the others.
The chief blew a horn in the elder's face and a brutal battle between the trolls and the goblins began. Bristol and her classmates watched the brawl in horror. They had never seen such violence in their entire lives. The creatures ruthlessly bludgeoned one another, and when their weapons gave out, they resorted to twisting noses and pulling ears. Bristol was just as heartbroken as she was disturbed. If humankind hadn't expelled the trolls and goblins from their kingdom, they wouldn't have to be fighting over resources like this. However, Bristol was glad that the goblins had arrived when they did, because they were the distraction that They were the best distraction she could have asked for. No! She yelled to her classmates. Bristol, Emeralda, and Xanthos grabbed the net and charged out of the clearing, dragging Tangerine and Skyline behind them. Lucy led the charge, pushing the trolls and goblins out of the way. Initially, the creatures were too busy fighting one another to notice, but as they quickly spotted the children fleeing the area,
The slaves are getting away!
the troll chief bellowed. After them, the goblin elder commanded. The trolls and goblins chased after the classmates, and the sparring creatures moved through the in-between as a united force.
Uh-oh.
The students and apprentices ran through the forest as fast as their tired legs could carry them, but using magic to prevent the creatures from getting too close. Bristol waved her wand and sent the trolls whirling through the air in a giant bubble. Emeralda threw handfuls of rubies and diamonds on the ground to make the goblins slip. Xanthos removed his muter metal and lit entire trees on fire to scare them off. Despite their magical efforts, the goblins and trolls never paused their pursuit.
Uh-oh.
Lucy was running in front of her classmates and spotted something alarming in the distance ahead of them. Hey guys, she called over her shoulder. We're heading right toward the cliff of a canyon. Then do something so that we're not headed toward the cliff of a canyon. Emeralda said, yeah, a forest fire might be a little bit, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, what did the trees ever do to you? And just as they reached a forest fire might be much. It's a great line. Just as they reached the edge of the deep and rocky canyon, Lucy snapped her fingers and the rickety rope bridge and wooden panels appeared in front of them. The classmates ran across the bridge and it started to sway like a giant swing. The movement caused Xanthos to trip and he fell flat on his face. His muter metal slipped out from his hand and fell to the canyon below. The boy instantly started to panic and he was engulfed in flames. No, he gasped. Xanthos, listen to me, Bristol said. You have to calm down. If you get too heated, the bridge is going to... But it was too late. Xanthos' fire burned through the ropes and the wooden panels, and the bridge snapped in half, and the classmates fell into the canyon. The students and apprentices screamed as they dropped through the air and plummeted towards the rocky earth below. The fall reminded Bristol of the final chapter of Tibbet the Twitch. Unlike the main character's fall, there wasn't a river to break hers. Bristol tried to manifest something soft for her and the others to land on. She waved her wand and the velocity knocked it out of her hand. Bristol desperately tried to reach for her wand in midair. It was falling just beside her, just a few inches out of reach. She reached her arm out as far as possible. Her fingertips grazed the side of it. She wrapped her hand around its crystal handle. Poof! The children hit the bottom of the canyon, and a cloud of dust rose into the air. As the trolls and goblins looked over the cliff, they didn't wait for the dust to clear before retreating back into the woods. Nothing could have survived that fall. Imagine some kid reads this book first. Like, just for 1 second, put yourself in the head of a kid who picks this book up before Land of Stories. Wild. Wild. Like, if I didn't know who they were, I would think they were a goner. Who knows what's gonna happen next? Not I, said the fly. Yeah. 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 Well, there's more chapters, but there's not much, and there's other characters, you know? So, like I said, we have just enough to get us through Tuesday, which is good. I went to Target yesterday. They didn't have book 2, so I'm going to have to go to Barnes & Noble or something to get book 2. But that's where we're at. That's where we are at. I will be obviously back tomorrow. No, you can't, Jen. Don't do it. Don't give in. I have the book and I never read ahead without you all. Never. Not once have I read ahead without you all. I wouldn't do it. I would never do that to you. I'm a team player. Yes. Not, but the urge is real. It might be Naisa, but I always try to support physical bookstores if I can, just because I don't want them to disappear. I know Target isn't a physical bookstore, but like a book section in a store so that they keep stocking books in real places. There's a Barnes & Noble near us that I go to fairly often, and I know Barnes & Noble is technically a big box store, but you know, it's what we've got here right now. Yes, it was Target. Yeah. Yeah, that was Target I was at yesterday. Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be great, Anya. So, yeah. All right. I will probably be on to make slime later, provided that I get one of the big bins cleared out. Oh, don't be sorry, Anya. You're totally fine. You're doing me a favor. No, it was Target. I was at Target. Yeah. I wish we had more. Yeah, I really do. I really do. I do go over to Ripped Bodice and support them. You know, they're an independently owned bookstore in Culver City. That's where I took that class. So anyway, I will see you all later or tomorrow morning, everything depending, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Same Anya, literally same. That's the whole kit and caboodle for this morning. Bye, friends.